So I watched my own video for kicks, and I'm like, what's the answer gonna be? Like, what the retaliation? Like, well, Karen, you just don't understand. Well, there's a reason that, these guys had night vision goggles on in the helicopter because they got to practice. They got to practice. They got to practice their missions. They got to practice and like, they were just practicing because they got to practice, right? And I'm like, I mean, I'm trying to think of any answer that somebody would give me as an argument against what I was saying, and I'm just they got to practice. Which brings me to how the U.S. government, since the get-go, since the dawn of time, or whenever they got there, just uses us as experimental subjects. I mean, they don't give a shit. All those planes coming in, landing on whatever, runway 33 or whatever they called it. Of course it was 33. They gotta love that fucking number. Oh, and I forgot about the Kobe. Oh, the Kobe. It was an anniversary. Anyway, yeah, they got it. Yeah, they got involved with a helicopter. I don't understand what all their religious, weird, ritualistic crap is. But anyway, I'm just thinking they're gonna. Well, Karen, they had to practice, and they just really don't get it. They really don't get that they're being used as fucking props in their training. We did not ask to be part of this military training. How dare you, military, put all these people every single day in this kind of danger? You do it all day, every day, all over the place. All over the country. Look, God, it's the greatest country in the world. Don't you feel safe? Oh, not after the Gulf War, baby. When I got the, and I would never. I don't like my first husband for 2 seconds, but I would never throw him under the bus about something he didn't do. I believe he had the highest clearance. Of course, that's probably not true. He probably thought he did, but I mean, but he had clearance. He was an Arabic interpreter. Blah blah blah. I never asked him a question about his job. He never revealed anything to me because we were dead serious about it. Like, oh my God, his clearance. Like, he would never have told me anything. But what he did tell me was stuff that probably wasn't cleared. I needed to be cleared, which was they had spare parts every time they maintained the helicopters, or often, and they just flew them anyway. He also said the Air Force would never do that. If they had one washer after doing maintenance, they would tear the whole thing down again and find out where it belonged before they flew. So the Army just flies around with a shoebox of fucking nuts and bolts during the fucking war. Do you think that was him breaking clearance? I don't think that was a clearance thing. But, yeah, what the fuck are they thinking? They're using us as a video game. Extras. Essentially. We're not. No! I never signed up for that. Did we? When we signed to buy a plane ticket, did we sign a form saying, I understand that it may be during this flight that I may be used as a prop in a military exercise to train men with night vision goggles on a helicopter. No, I don't recall seeing. I need to read the fine print on American Airlines, I guess. American Airlines is the exact airline that last summer when there was a computer glitch, or was that Delta? I think it might have been Delta. They couldn't figure out how to fly my granddaughter out on her flight without, an adult there accompanied. They couldn't figure out how to do it. She had to stay where she was for like 10 more days. What? You couldn't figure out. She was 11. She wasn't even really little. I mean, you couldn't figure out how to put her on an adult on a. You couldn't figure that out. She got no refund. She got like a $100 gift certificate or something. Like $100 wouldn't feed her for 10 days. Like they did nothing. Now, suppose, God forbid, she had met family on a vacation and they were departing going one way and she was going the other. What the fuck would they have done then? Fortunately, she was at her grandfather's house, the guy who flew Quick Fix, and said that there's a box of fucking nuts and bolts all the time when they maintain and change the oil or whatever they fucking do to these fucking helicopters. They changing the oil, changing the filters. Hell, man, what's this nuts and bolts in here? Fucking just throw the box. We got to go with her night vision goggles on. I cannot believe he survived the Gulf War. To this fucking day, cannot believe he survived the Gulf War. Cannot believe it. I have photographs. I should do videos of some of the photographs of him walking around in the sand in Iraq and shit with other people. Unbelievable photos. This guy was younger than young. And I mean, dumber than a brick at the time. We all were. We all were dumb as a brick at the time. And he just flying around with a fucking pistol. I'm like, they give this dude a pistol? Anyway, he was not a manly man. He wasn't like with weapons. And he wasn't. I couldn't understand why they handed him a gun. I don't think he fired him. I don't know what he did over there because I didn't ask, because he had a clearance. I knew nothing. Nothing, except he did tell me this. When he got to, God, what was that little town they stayed in? It was outside of the, God, see, I can't even remember the names of this shit. It was over 30 years ago. Kuwait. They took them all to a parking garage that, interestingly enough, they lived in the parking garage. The guys, it was 2 cots to a parking space. And he said, it's really weird, but it was like they planned this, Karen, because there were electrical sockets in every pillar in the garage where they were stacked, living 2 cots to a fucking parking space. And the electrical sockets were American with the 2-prong and shit, or maybe the 3 if it was grounded. So the guys could bring their American Electric shit, like, I don't know, blow dryers or radios or whatever the fuck they had. What are you trying to say, Karen? They built the garage well in advance to house American soldiers to plug their shit in to the pillar. I mean, they didn't, like, fit this garage to make it work. It was made that way. And when he got there, he was like, this is weird. He did a lot of gambling through playing poker and sending me money home. My parents were Christians, and they were like, oh, against gambling. But when that money came, they didn't say shit. They're like, he's so clever. You hate him, Mom and Dad. I don't know what you're talking about he's clever for. Anyway, they loved that. They thought it was great. But, yeah, he played poker and won a few times. Anyway, bless his heart, right? He just didn't get it. He's just like, Anyway, he went all the way to the end and retired. He made it all the way through 20. He lived. I can't believe he lived. I could have freaking had his kid when he came back. I had another one later. Anyway, he had some kind of, serious fever in the middle of the war. He came home. It was bad. It was like up to 100. It was, anyway, because his dad died. He actually went AWOL and came back. They flew him out of there on a freaking C-5 or something. And, man, I hightailed it from Maryland to freaking Kentucky. Picked his ass up. And then when yes. Which way did I go? I picked him up in Dover. I picked him up at Dover Air Force Base. I was in the Baltimore area at the time. We lived in Kentucky at the time, Tennessee, Kentucky border. And in order to get him back to where he was, we had to put him in the car and drive all the way back to Kentucky, to Fort Campbell, to put him on a fucking plane, a jet or whatever the fuck's another C-5, hide him out. They covered for his ass. He never got in trouble. He was totally AWOL, 100%. How you like them fucking apples? So you know. So you know. That's all I got to say about that. Because if I went AWOL, my ass would be under the jail, okay? Forever. So it just makes you wonder. Who is my ex-husband? I don't know. I don't fucking know who this guy is or why he was so important that they would hustle him out of there with no leave and not say shit. Because it's all bullshit. That's why.